Today's episode of the More You Know podcast is brought to you by CrowdQuestion, a brand new social communication platform focused on connecting crowds to bring everyone closer to their community, as well as enhancing any occasion. Rather than being a social media platform focused on content and advertising, they're focused on communication and connection. Learn more about the platform and download the app free at crowdquestion.com.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
Today's
More
You
No
podcast.
Today I want to go through 4 assessments to test your abundance levels that are shared in the book Abundance Unleashed by Christian Mickelsen. Having an abundance mindset and unleashing abundance in your life is something I've regularly discussed on the podcast. It opens yourself up to more love, health, happiness, money, and much more. What this means is that it's drastically important to gain an abundance mindset and work towards unleashing abundance in your life. And by doing so, it will work wonders in your life. It will help you realize and appreciate the miracles that you already have in your life, as well as manifest even more abundance in your life. There's an assessment for wealth, love, health, and time. There's a series of questions for each assessment, and you should select an answer between 1 and 10, with 1 being low abundance and 10 being high abundance. For each question, there's an example on the lowest and highest end of the scale, and I'll go through these so you can get an idea of where you score. From there, you'll be able to add up your score and figure out what level of abundance you have. So I now want to go through these abundance assessments, starting with the wealth assessment. Question number 1 on the lowest end is I don't have enough money. I never have enough money. And on the highest end, it's I have all the money in the world, and I'm swimming in the oceans of abundance. Number 2 from the low end is when I see things I really want, I immediately try to make myself satisfied with what I already have, or tell myself that it's wrong to want so much. And on the high end, it's that when I see things I really want, I give them to myself, or if it's beyond my current means, I consistently focus on manifesting them. Then number 3 on the low end is that even when I get money, I'm not a good steward of money, meaning I don't invest it wisely, and I don't build up my savings. The high end is I'm a good steward of money, meaning I save and invest wisely as I'm guided to do. From there, number 4 on the low end is I have a hard time spending money on myself or loved ones. And from the highest perspective, I love spending money on myself, my loved ones, and even strangers. Number 5 from the lowest end is then I resent paying my bills, my taxes, and any obligations that don't bring me immediate joy. On the flip side, the most abundant perspective is, I gratefully pay my bills, my taxes, and all my obligations, and take joy in knowing they contribute to a wondrous lifestyle that few truly appreciate. Next, number 6 on the low end is I rarely contribute time and money to charitable causes, and I feel guilty about it. The highest perspective is I donate the perfect amount of time and money to charitable causes. Next, number 7 from the lowest perspective is that I don't feel secure financially, and I always worry I won't have enough money. The flip side is I feel completely financially secure, and I know I'll always be well taken care of in the future. Number 8's lowest perspective is I work to make sure things are fair for myself and others, and that I get what I'm due. Then the highest perspective is I let go of fairness and look for how I can contribute and create more value for others in the world. After that, number 9 from the lowest perspective is that I worry about money all the time. No matter how much I do or don't have, it never feels like enough. The flip side of that is that I live in a constant state of gratitude. Finally, number 10 from the lowest perspective is that I see myself as poor or middle class, and the flip side of that is that I'm thankful I'm rich. Take your scores between 1 and 10 for every question, add up the scores, and then divide it by 10. From here we now reach the health abundance assessment. Again, I'm going to give examples from the lowest and highest end of the spectrum for each question, and you should score it between 1 and 10. I'll explain how to calculate your overall score after I go through the questions. Number 1 from the lowest perspective is that I feel very unhealthy, and the highest perspective is that I'm extremely healthy the vast majority of the time. Next, number 3 from the lowest perspective is that if people around me get sick, it's extremely likely that I'll get sick too. Then from the highest perspective is that I stay healthy no matter what's going on around me, and no matter who I know has illnesses. From there, number 4 from the lowest perspective is that if I get sick or injured, it seems to take me a long time to recover. And the flip side of it is, if I do ever get sick or injured, I bounce back and recover extremely quickly. 5 from the lowest perspective is I'm not very physically active, and avoid being active whenever I can. And the highest perspective of that is that I'm highly physically active on a regular basis, and I enjoy it. After that, number 6 from the lowest perspective is that my body is stiff with lots of aches and pains, and the flip side of that is that my body moves with grace and ease. Next, the low perspective for number 7 is that I eat a lot of unhealthy foods, and the obvious highest perspective is that I eat loads of healthy foods. And finally, number 8 from the lowest perspective is that I feel guilty about my meal choices, as well as snacks and desserts that I eat. And the final most abundant perspective is that I feel great about my meal choices, snacks, and desserts that I eat. To score the assessment, add up all your scores for the questions, and then divide the total by 8. Next we reach the love abundance assessment, and you should score the questions the same as the previous assessments. Number 1 from the lowest perspective is that I hold back who I am and what I say with most people. The flip side of that is that I'm fully self-expressive and truthful to who I am, showing off my authentic self to everybody in my life. Number 2 from the low end is that I feel shy and reserved around most new people. The flip side of it is that I'm open and friendly with everyone I meet. Then number 3 from the low end is that if someone hurts my feelings, they must have done something wrong and need to apologize for it. The highest perspective is that no one can hurt my feelings but myself, and when it happens I work on healing myself. Number 4's lowest perspective is that if my emotional needs aren't being met by someone, I get frustrated, blame them, and then act out. The flip side of that is that I take responsibility for my emotional needs and make sure that they're met. After that, number 5's lowest perspective is that I'm afraid the people I love most are going to leave me. And from the highest perspective, I never even think about people leaving me. And if someone did, I trust in the universe that it's best for everyone. Number 6's lowest perspective is I love to give and contribute to people I care about, and I expect others to equally give and contribute back to me, because it's only fair. The flip side of it is I love to give and contribute to people I care about, and I do so with zero expectation of anything in return. From there, number 7's lowest perspective is that I have old resentments with friends and family. The highest perspective is that my relationships are fresh and new no matter how long we've known each other. Then number 8's lowest perspective is why would anyone love me? And the obvious flip side is that I'm extremely lovable. Finally, number 9's lowest perspective is that my heart's closed to everyone with few exceptions. And the highest perspective is that my heart's wide open to the whole world and everyone in it. To score this assessment, add up all your scores and then divide the total by 9. And finally, we reach the time abundance assessment. Question number 1's lowest perspective is that I worry about the future, as well as getting things done and getting to the next level. The highest perspective is that I live in the present moment. Number 2's lowest perspective is that I don't enjoy the activities I do. I just do them to get them done. The obvious flip side is I enjoy everything I do. After that, number 3's lowest perspective is I'm never satisfied with how much I accomplish. And the highest perspective is I'm very pleased with how much I accomplish. Number 4's lowest perspective is I feel overwhelmed and stressed. The highest perspective is I feel peaceful and relaxed. From there, number 5's lowest perspective is I'm always in a hurry to get to places. The highest perspective is I get where I need to be and feel good about it. Next, number 6's lowest perspective is my mind is so cluttered with things I have to do that I don't even have time to think. And the flip side is that my mind is free and clear for new ideas and opportunities. And finally, number 7's lowest perspective is that I feel there's never enough time in life. And the highest perspective is that I feel an abundance of time. For this assessment, like all the others, add up all your scores for the questions, and then divide your total by 7. A general guideline to determine what your scores mean for each of the assessments is that if you scored from 0 to 4 on a specific question in the quiz or on the quiz as a whole, you probably have a lot of struggles in that area or areas, which means that it's smart to take time to improve on that area or areas. If you scored from a 5 to 7, that means that your life is pretty solid in those areas. And finally, if you scored from an 8 to 10, you can rest assured knowing that you're in really great shape in those areas. By increasing your score in each of these assessments, you'll have balanced abundance throughout your life. By having abundance with wealth, health, love, and time, you'll be living a life filled with abundance, unleashing abundance in its entirety. And by doing so, life will be more enjoyable, and it will also be easier to make a tremendous impact in this world and craft a life of significance.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
The
More
You
No
Podcast.